What's good, everybody? Welcome to episode number 54 of Stack Sats or Die Trying. This is the Bitcoin only show brought to you by the Black Wealth Rebels and by the Hood. I'm your host as always. My name is Jimmy. That's right. This is episode number 54. This is the Horace Grant and Brian Urlacher episode of Stack Sats or Die Trying. So we're continuously still adding to the catalog, you know what I mean, this body of work known as Stack Sats or Die Trying. Shout out to everybody who leaves feedback on every episode. Shout out to everybody in the village. And if you have no idea what the village is, that is our community. And you could join that community by going to blackwealthrebels.com. You know, shout out to everybody in the community, because if you're watching this, you are watching it early. Before it hits YouTube and before it's all podcast platforms, you have access to the audio and video of Stack Sats or Die Trying. And for those who don't know what it is, maybe you tune in for the first time, because there's always new listeners and new watchers of this actual content. You know, we talk about Bitcoin, right? Not crypto, Bitcoin. And you probably saw the flyer or thumbnail, that is, for this episode, which is what Oprah taught me about Bitcoin. Let me explain myself. A lot of people know, especially people within our community, know that I love podcasts. I am a podcast junkie. You know what I'm saying? Some of my favorite podcasts are created by the company Wondery. And Wondery has two of my favorite podcasts, by the way. One is called Business Wars, and the other one is Business Movers. So I've been, going through the catalog of Business Movers lately. I brought it up on our Friday show. I was listening to the Ann Turnbull and Madam CJ Walker episode, which was phenomenal work, by the way. It's phenomenal work. So shout out to everybody at Wondery who puts these amazing stories together. But recently I was listening to one about Oprah Winfrey, and it was truly inspiring. And, I look at everything through the lens of being a Bitcoiner and everything through the lens of Black wealth. So I was thinking about it as I was listening to this episode, right? And don't mind, I don't know if you guys can hear the wind. It's a beautiful day here in Philadelphia, by the way. So I'm sitting outside on the deck making this content, but, gotta still put the work in. But I thought about this because, I just finished listening to this podcast and I said, I want to talk about this. So what Oprah taught me about Bitcoin. The thing about Oprah Winfrey is this. I'm a man of a certain age. Oprah has been pretty much getting money my entire life, right? So sometimes I forget about her journey, although you hear about it often when you read about her or hear her story. But sometimes I forget, because Oprah been getting money my entire life, right? But this specific podcast about Oprah Winfrey goes all the way back to the beginning of her journey. And sometimes when someone has been successful over a long period of time, you forget the struggle that they come through. So this was kind of a reminder. And there were a lot of specific lessons that I took listening to this, but not only about business, but about Bitcoin and about life in general, right? So the one thing that I think I forgot until I listened back to this episode, and which made me actually go do further reading. That's the other thing too about Wondery. Like, they always give you the source material. They say, okay, if you want to learn more, go read X book or whatever, right? So, I went and read more. And the thing about Oprah that I, kind of forgot was how much she believed in investing in herself, right? Oprah was getting six-figure checks in the news before there was a such thing as an Oprah Winfrey show. But she consistently invested in herself and invested in herself and invested in herself. And as I listened to the podcast and listened to some of the risks that she took, to her, they're not risks because she believed in herself. She did have a little self-doubt, and we'll talk about that soon. But she believed that she can get things done. She was somewhat of a control freak, but that's because she cared so much. But she consistently invested in her business. And I know you're saying, what the hell does that have to do with Bitcoin? Give me a second. Go on this journey with me real fast. Because here's the thing about Stack Sats or Die Trying. Stack Sats or Die Trying is about education, but it's also about me documenting my journey as a Bitcoiner. And I say that because I'm always looking for different mental models to kind of make sense of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is such a unique thing. And as I consume content, as I read, as I learn, it gives me different ways to view what Bitcoin is and what Bitcoin actually means. I'll say this. I've gotten to space late 2016, early 2017, and the way I thought about Bitcoin then versus how I think about Bitcoin in early 2025 are completely different. It's because I have more experience. I've been able to do more research, but I continuously research. As I say on every episode of this podcast, it's about the journey, not the destination. And also, you got to do the knowledge.
Do the knowledge, nigga.
You know what I'm saying? So once you do the knowledge, right, and you continuously do the knowledge, but you also consume content that's maybe not Bitcoin related. But once your mind starts to think like a Bitcoiner, everything is Bitcoin related. Because as I mentioned last episode, it's really about the idea of fighting broken money. Now, back to Oprah for a second. So she consistently invested in herself, which was important for me to hear, and also just to hear how much. I'm talking about she was cutting $1 million checks to invest in herself. And even though she grew up dirt poor, she understood about, expanding and being smart and understanding her specific market and investing in that market to produce more value, right? I tell you guys all the time, Bitcoin is my savings. My business is real estate and Bitcoin is my savings. And I say that because sometimes as a Bitcoiner, it gets difficult to part with your Bitcoin. But I've also shared with you guys before how I've purchased property with Bitcoin, and I was probably better off keeping the Bitcoin. But then I thought about it after listening to Oprah. I probably wasn't, because if my mental model is every property is kind of a miner in its own way, right? And then when you do the economics of mining in 2025, they're not like the economics of mining in, say, 2016. So because the economics in mining have changed, the property route might be a better miner, right? Right? Unless I'm solving for a big block. And we can talk about mining in the future episodes. But if I'm just like sharing in block rewards, the actual rent that I get from a paid off property because Bitcoin allowed me to buy that might be better. I say all this to say it made me just think about maybe sometimes I should sell some sats to invest in my business if the objective is to save in Bitcoin, right? Because even if you're on a dollar standard, you save in the dollar, but sometimes you have to take those dollars to then make more dollars, right? I'm not saying get off of the Bitcoin standard. I'm just saying focus on your business and your Bitcoin, right? So put back into your business, which will eventually create more Bitcoin. It made me really think about that. And I was thinking about that because Oprah was so adamant on investing in herself. The other thing that this episode of Oprah made me think about, and Oprah's known for a lot of things. She's known for her book club. She's known for putting other people on. She's known for so many things. But you don't hear about her investing in herself a lot when people talk about Oprah, because again, Oprah's been getting money so long. The early investments were so far back. The other thing that it made me think about in listening to this is, even though she was confident enough to consistently invest in herself, Oprah is successful in so many different feats, but she still dealt with a sense of, what's the word I want to look for here? A sense of like imposter syndrome. And that resonated with me because I'm someone who I consider to be well-studied. I know what I'm doing. I've been, relatively successful in my life and career, but I still deal with that, right? I deal with imposter syndrome. Now, recently I've been doing a lot better with it because I've been in spaces where you have people that, are credentialed or have certain positions within this world. And you realize that, they ain't no smarter than me. But I still deal with it, right? If I'm being completely transparent, I've always pride myself on being transparent and honest in Stack Sats or Die Trying. But to hear Oprah, someone who has reached billionaire status, in fact, she is the first African-American female billionaire in the world. To see someone with that level of success and who is, right, time after time after time, and has done everything from, philanthropic work with schools in Africa to giving away a bunch of Pontiacs. Y'all remember the Oprah giveaway? You get a car. Y'all remember that, right?
Open your boxes. Open your boxes. 1, 2, 3. You get a car. 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 Everybody gets a car.
So she's done so many things, but to hear her still have a level of self-doubt moving into certain spaces was like eye-opening for one, but also powerful for me because it's like she felt the self-doubt, but she still moved forward. When it came time to create the Oprah Winfrey Network, she was in doubt because of previous experiences that she had in terms of trying to start a TV network, but she still moved forward. Like, she let the doubt sit there, talked it through with the people that matter to her, and she still moved forward. Shout out to Stedman Graham. I always joke about Stedman Graham. It's really not a joke how Stedman Graham is one of my heroes, but I'm going to tell you why Stedman Graham is my hero in a second. And for those who don't know who Stedman Graham is, do your Googles. That's Oprah's significant other. But the reason I say that he's one of my heroes is because I think there's a level of maturity and a level of getting out of your ego that it takes to be Stedman Graham. When you have someone who's so successful as your partner, and you're still able to move in the world, and carry himself the way he does, is actually inspirational to me, because I've been on this journey to really figure out how to get out of my ego, and it's a work in progress. But I look to him as someone who's dealt with that tremendously. But I bring that up because it's a part of the podcast where they talk about like her self-doubt and him giving her the advice that she needed to hear, and her still moving forward. And I know you guys are still wondering, like, what does this have to do with Bitcoin? Jimmy, get to the part about Bitcoin. Here's how it relates to Bitcoin for me. I have this belief in Bitcoin, right, that is challenged all the time, right? I get challenged by loved ones, by family, by friends, by academics, by everyone. And it's kind of unwavering to the point where I stop debating with people. Like, people want to tell me about, oh, you got to leave that alone and get into this coin. I'm like, okay, you got a new coin. All right, whatever, man. Whoop-de-damn do. You got something new. So what? Whoop-de-damn do. Right? But the fact is, I do the knowledge and I stay hyper-focused. And that's the thing that resonated about Oprah to me throughout this entire podcast. And by the way, again, I'm going to remind you guys who maybe forgot, this is Business Movers for Wondery, and it's about Oprah Winfrey, this specific series. It's a 4-part series, actually 5 episodes. The 5th episode, they talk to someone who works for her. But the first 4 episodes are the ones you really got to get into, where they tell the story. They reenact the story of Oprah's rise through media. But it made me think about Bitcoin for this reason, right? And I'm bringing it all together because all of the things about business are true. But the thing about Bitcoin is not just a belief. It's that Oprah, she knows who she is. She knows her target audience. Even though she may deal with a little imposter syndrome, she, in the words of Jalen Hurts, she keeps the main thing the main thing.
The thing that I want to make clear is, when did winning not become the main thing? I always say keep the main thing, where winning is the only thing that truly matters.
Several opportunities throughout this for her to change and pivot and do different things, and that's not what she wanted to do. She got opportunities to promote products for millions and millions of dollars, but she felt like it wasn't on brand. She didn't do it. When people kind of like shifted in terms of what they were looking for in daytime talk, right? The emergence of something like Jerry Springer, and they would say, look, you got to get more salacious with your content. She was like, that's not my audience. I'm going to hyper focus on my audience. I'm going to super serve those that are important to me. And I think there's a business lesson there, but there's a Bitcoin lesson there, because once you get into Bitcoin and then you see the crypto folks, there's always a new token. There's always a new project. There's always, this is the next Bitcoin. There's always, this is better than Bitcoin, right? And you have to kind of block that noise out and understand that you did the knowledge, you studied, and you understand the value proposition. So all of those other things kind of don't matter. That stuck out to me because she could have easily made millions and millions of dollars, but she's playing the long game. She doesn't care about the short ebbs and flows of what's going on in that specific business and that specific niche. And you have to do that as it pertains to maybe not only Bitcoin, maybe even in the stock market, right? There's always going to be the newest hot tech stock, right? There's always going to be the newest hot this gadget. But if you know what you know and you stay, as Warren Buffett likes to talk about, in your circle of competence, you'll be good, man. One of the things that has made me a better investor and a better trader and just a better overall person is, the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid, and focus on the things that I have an intimate knowledge of. I've been studying Bitcoin daily, every day. I talk about podcasts. I listen to so many Bitcoin podcasts, right? I read Bitcoin books. I'm on Bitcoin blogs. But the other thing that Oprah did, and I pride myself on doing too, is she, for lack of a better term, she would look at her ops. She wants to see what is the competition doing or what's going on, not to necessarily mock them or take a piece from them, just to see what's going on in the market. So, I tend to read a lot of Bitcoin material, but I read probably just as much anti-Bitcoin material, right? I don't care if that comes from the gold bugs, it comes from the shit coiners, it comes from the Solana folks, specifically, the XRP army, you damn bastards. Like,
now out of nowhere, I done got the urge for a little roasting session.
I'm trying to leave y'all alone, but y'all be trolling me all the time, man. And all of y'all are a bunch of degenerates anyway, man, because most of the time when I ask y'all about the reason you're into it, you always talk about number go up. You never give me any reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, so just leave me alone, man. Let me be, man. Go that away, in the words of Christopher Rios. Now, I bring all that up to say, Oprah was very, very keen, but very, very intentional about what's going on. All right, that's cool, but let me hyper focus on me. It was more of a thing about market research than it was about trying to copy, because you have a lot of copycats within the world, a lot of projects that fork off Bitcoin. No shots at you, Litecoin. No shots at you, Doge. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we got to keep the main thing, in my Jalen Hurts voice. You know what I'm saying? So, those are just some of the things that I got from it. But I think that the podcast, and I'll put a link within the show notes in the description to that specific podcast about Oprah. Check it out if you get a chance. It's phenomenal. Very inspirational. You know, I kind of owe Oprah an apology too, because I be slandering Oprah sometimes, because there's certain books and certain content, like, you know, I'm still not gonna forgive her for that 7 pound nonsense. Like, for those who know what I'm talking about, when the Will Smith movie 7 Pound came out, she talked about how it was the greatest movie ever, and I went to the movies, and that shit was mid. So I won't forgive her for that, but I do owe her an apology, because sometimes I forget her story. Because again, Oprah's been balling so long, I forget that Oprah actually comes from nothing and kind of built herself to be what she is. But very intelligent, very inspirational. And it's several business lessons within this podcast. It's business lessons, it's lessons about Bitcoin, it's lessons about self-belief, and it's lessons about building something else, building something over the long term, right? I talk about the fact she's been balling so long, but it didn't happen overnight. She put in so much work to get to what she got him, and she never forgot where she came from. She never forgot her actual target market, and she didn't let outside distractions keep her from focusing on what matters the most, which is investing in herself and building a brand that's going to outlast her. And I think it's a lot of Bitcoin lessons in there too. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have all the shit coins. You're going to see people chase these meme coins and make tons and tons of money. But the one thing you'll never see are the thousands of people that are doing the same thing and go broke and not make all the money, right? They'll give you the person who just got this random shit coin and went to $1 million. They're not going to give you the 10,000 people that chased it and lost all their money. So always keep that in mind, man. Everything that glitters ain't gold, man. You know, and everything that glitters ain't sats either. Shout out to all my gold bugs out there. Gold going crazy right now. It's all good though. You know what I mean? Like, I want this digital gold. That's what I'm on right now. With that being said, blackwealthrebels.com. Join the village. Come through, holler at us, man. Spend some time with us. Wednesdays, we have Wealthy Wednesdays. Fridays, we have Freedom Fridays. Every Sunday morning, we have a free stock class, and we are in the community putting the work in. Again, we're still working on this Saturday school for the youth. We're supposed to start this Saturday, but we kind of had to push it back because we're getting the location and everything set up. And so you'll hear about that soon, the Saturday class. The camp is coming, you know, this summer, by the Hood Ownership Camp, as it is every year. So, man, we working in the community. You know, we're putting the content out there, and we're building with our village. And I mean, and we in there trading every day, man. So pull up to the village and watch me and Spy go at it every day. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Give me some feedback on this specific episode. Do all the YouTubing and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Help your boy out. Share this with your family, friends. You know, as we build on this Stack Sats or Die Trying, this whole catalog, the objective is to leave this body of work about Bitcoin that is unique. It's unlike others' viewpoints. It's not just about, man, number is this, number's going up. It's more about the philosophy of Bitcoin. There are some educational components to it to learn more about the technology of Bitcoin. But it's more about life, man. Like I told you people before, Stack Sats or Die Trying, Bitcoin is, you know, how can I explain it? Because I think it's for more than just Bitcoiners. Stack Sats or Die Trying is, it's a Bitcoin show. But what I'll say is this: you can learn lessons in this in this specific series that have nothing at all to do with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the muse, but it allows me to talk about life in general, because that's the great thing about Bitcoin is it's not about how many sats you have per se. It's about the journey that you go through in order to become a Bitcoiner. It's like almost you know, going through your matrix moment and getting a sense of enlightenment. Because once you really hit that phase where you are a stacker, you don't even care about, it's going to sound crazy again. I mean, everybody wants to have Bitcoin, but it's about that journey, and it's about really understanding how things work. One of the biggest revelations for me in going down this rabbit hole is seeing how our economy works and seeing how money truly works. Everybody thinks they know how money works, but when you really, really get into what is money and how money works, it's a rabbit hole that can last forever. It gets into politics. And I've mentioned this before. It gets into politics, education, health, all of these things you learn by going down a rabbit hole. But, you know, I don't want to start pontificating because I'll be here for another 30 minutes. Y'all know I could, run my mouth. But what I'll say is this, man. Continuously show me love because it is appreciated. And I'm gonna show love back, man. Pull up on Fridays. We give away sats every Friday, man. We like to help folks get into the Bitcoin space. So pull up Friday. With that being said, as I always say, stack sats or die trying. Peace.